Bravo bosses. This is the Bravo Investigator Podcast. I'm your host, Dana, and today we are talking about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and the Valley Persian style. Let's get into it. Friday, everyone. I hope everyone's had an amazing week. It has been snowmageddon here in Toronto, so it has been crazy trying to walk my dog or do pretty much anything, but I've had an okay week. It was still pretty busy with job interviews and things are starting to move along, so I'm feeling a lot more hopeful, but I'm also feeling anxious because my last pay from my last job came in yesterday, so I am officially not receiving any money from anyone. So hopefully my employment insurance will kick in soon or I will get a job soon. But, things are looking a little more positive. So I'm feeling a little more positive about that. And I hope you guys are great because we have so much TV to watch. There is The Traitors, which we'll talk about on Monday. We've got Beverly Hills and the Valley Persian style, which we're talking about today. And while Salt Lake City recently ended, that's okay, you guys, because Summer House is coming back on February the 3rd, which of course I will be covering. So I'm jazzed about that. And then what else do we have? We still have Southern Charm. We just got the mid-season the mid-season trailer. So that looks really good as well. And then Love is Blind is coming back February 10th. And there are already some pretty nasty rumors about some of these guys. So obviously we will be deep diving into that on our reality roundup on our Mondays, but I am just jazzed about how much TV there is to watch. There is never enough, quite frankly, except for Nick Viall and Natalie Joy's new show, which there was finally a trailer for on Netflix. I don't even remember the name of it, to be honest, so apologies, but it's like an age gap dating show. And Nick wasn't even in the preview, which is weird. Like, he wasn't in the trailer. Natalie Joy was, but Nick wasn't. So that's weird because isn't he like one of the hosts of this show? Anyways, no one is going to watch this. Even if people wanted to watch it, they're not going to watch it out of spite, obviously, right? So I don't know why they bothered. I don't know. And also the concept of an age gap dating show just seems very strange to me. So I'm sure there'll be people out there who are hate watching it. I'm sure that'll happen. And then I'm sure they'll get a season 2 just because it's Nick Viall and he gets whatever he wants. Oh, and it's been like 3 fucking weeks since the Austin Kroll interview and he's still not apologizing. And I don't think that's ever going to happen. It's also weird to me that no one in his life is recommending that they apologize. Like, that part is still weird to me. But I feel like the world has forgotten about that too because of all the other things going on. So we might as well get into our pop culture stories today. Let's talk about our shows. We'll start with The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, season 15, episode 7. And last week was weird, you guys. It was, right? We had that whole weird dance with Amanda coming to that dinner at Rachel's while she was so distressed and upset about the death of her son Zion because it was the 3-year anniversary of his death. And then she sort of gets into it with Dorit, who's trying to do her housewifery, do her job, and come at Amanda. And Amanda's like, I'm not having it. Now, there's been a lot of debate about whether Amanda was weaponizing her trauma in order to get out of a conversation with Dorit. And we can keep debating that. We can debate that as the episode goes on because it's definitely something that Bose feels, for example. But let's start at the beginning. We'll start with Rachel and Erica because they get together first to talk about the dinner. Now, they talk about how annoying Amanda is and how, like, when she's on the phone, which I noticed as well in, like, those throwback scenes, she is constantly speaking loudly on speakerphone instead of, hey, I'll call you back, or, hey, I'm going to try to be quiet and maybe go over here. But she's doing that to show everyone that she is a big, important person. And look at me. I'm on business calls. I have a lot of money. And it's very weird to me because she knows these people have a lot of money too. She at least knows that about them. Even if she's never watched Housewives, she knows what it's about. So it's weird that she's always trying to one-up people who she knows are very up, right? Like, these are people who are wealthy. These are people who have been in this game for a long time. I don't know why her mentality here is to go in with the I'm trying to be better than everyone mentality. Like, that's weird to me. Erica feels like it's very performative, and Rachel feels like Amanda wants people to know that she works and she's successful. And yeah, that's right. For Rachel, on the other end, she's more quiet about her achievements. What's that saying? Money talks, wealth whispers. And that is exactly what Rachel epitomizes, right, in her life. You definitely can tell that the girl has money, but she never speaks about it because money talks and wealth whispers, right? So Amanda and Kyle end up going furniture shopping together because she wants new furniture for the house that she bought, which is Kyle's old house. So they end up talking about the dinner as well. And Amanda says that she experienced her fight with Dorit as like a physiological threat. She was up every 30 minutes the whole night. She couldn't breathe well. And she tells the camera that Dorit was attacking her. And that's not how classy women behave. Okay, maybe not. But this is the Housewives. And so there's a bit of both, right? This is about classy, opulent women who get in fights. So if Amanda came into this show thinking that she would never be attacked or fought with, then she was like dead ass wrong. And you can see how much Kyle is just sort of not on her page. Like, she even tries to defend Dorit a little bit. And she's like, well, I don't think she knew it was about, like, she didn't know it was the anniversary of your son's death. But Amanda's like, yeah, but then she kept going on and she kept keeping on, which she did, right? I will say that. And even though it's debatable about like who started it and who was kind of going on, initially when Amanda said, hey, this is the anniversary of my son's death, I just don't have the bandwidth, Dorit said, okay, I understand that, we can come back to it, but, and then continued the conversation. So technically she started it, but then Amanda kind of continued it, right? Every time after that, when Dorit tried to shut it down, Amanda would sort of continue it. So I think the mentality of some of the women is that she wanted to be able to speak her piece in terms of what Dorit was saying, but she didn't want to be argued with in terms of her opinion and wanted to use and weaponize the death of her son in order to, I guess, be right. Because if she can kind of shut Dorit down by saying, hey, this is the death of my son today, I can't speak about this today, but I still don't think that you should be talking about PK on TV, then it's sort of like she's doing that dance where she's wanting to say what she wants to say, but then also shutting everyone down from being able to counteract that, in essence. So Kyle tells the camera that Amanda is going to have to get a much thicker skin if she's going to be in this group. And I concur, right? Because Amanda's sitting there saying like, okay, we've got this other dinner coming up. It's Erica and Dorit's birthday. I didn't realize how I'd have to see Dorit so soon. And I didn't realize it would be her birthday. And like, it's not a good look for Dorit to go to these dinner parties where I'm feeling emotionally unsafe. And I feel like Amanda thought in that moment that she felt the audience would agree with her. The problem is that the entire audience doesn't like Amanda. And, Dorit has her fans and then she has her enemies as well. I'm kind of team Dorit for the past couple of seasons because I feel like she's been really open and real and honest about her divorce. And yeah, she was wrong in that situation, but the audience didn't come for her the way that Amanda thought they would. And that's probably because they don't like Amanda, right? So for her to feel like emotionally unsafe in these dinners, I mean, girl, you are going to get into arguments at these dinners. And if that makes you feel emotionally unsafe, then I don't feel like this is the right like venue for you, basically. So Bose ends up going to lunch with her best friend Summer and as well Dorit and Kyle. So Kyle ends up talking about going to Aspen recently with her entire family, including Mo, and how it can feel very invisible when she's around Mo. So basically, like, they'll hang out as a family, do their activities, but when she's around Mo, he's not really like paying any attention to her. And he doesn't really have to because they are divorced or separated, right? They're not actually divorced. They're still just separated. But I think this really speaks to the problem that she was discussing initially in terms of why she separated from him to begin with. I think she didn't feel like seen in the moments that she needed to be, when her best friend died, when she just was feeling like not really herself. It just really seemed like Mo had his own life and Kyle was just along for the ride. And we get a little bit more into that later when we see another scene of them, which is really interesting. So I'll go into that a little bit more. But Dorit asks her if the reason that she hasn't actually ever filed for divorce, which is crazy again, because it's been like 3 years now. She's like, have you not filed for divorce because there's a part of you that feels like you might get back together? And then out of nowhere, Mauricio shows up. literally out of nowhere. He's just everywhere, right? He's in Potomac. He's everywhere. He's just hanging around all of the sets of all of the Housewives shows, right? So it's so funny that this happens. And Dorit says, like, Mo, have you ever thought about filing? And he says no as well. I think for them, I think this is all about finances because I think they're so tied up in the agency and, you know, the many, many years that Kyle and Mauricio have put into that. So I think because of that, it would be just so incredibly complicated financially for them to split assets. So maybe that's why they're not divorcing. But one day, one of them is going to move on for real. And I think that's going to be Mo. And I think he's going to have to file for divorce at some point. So I don't know how they're going to figure that out at the end of the day, but it is sort of strange that we are here like 3 years later and neither of them have ever considered divorce. So Dorit asks Mo if he's willing to have a conversation with her, a sit down about PK, because she really feels like this is her last hope. She really tries to convey to him that all she cares about is the kids, and what's best for the kids is that her and PK correspond in like a friendly manner. And he's like, I completely agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I am more than happy to sit down with you and hear your side of the story. So that's really great. I don't know if that'll really make a difference. I feel bad for Dorit that she has to go through Mauricio to get to PK. But this is what happens in a divorce, right? Things can get so contentious and you really find out who someone truly is during a divorce. And PK is obviously no longer the person that she knew. So now we're at the dinner, which is Erica and Dorit's birthday dinner. And this is where her and Rachel start chatting right at the beginning of the dinner. Now, something happened with Rachel, and I'm not quite sure what it was because like I missed it or I didn't catch it. I watched a couple times, so I'm not sure what exactly happened with Rachel, but I guess maybe she saw a picture or something of her ex with his new partner. That's sort of the gist I get. And they talk about how, you know, she's fine with it. She doesn't care. She's completely moved on. She's completely okay. But then to the camera, she says, there's always a part of you, though, that misses the person that they used to be. And she does express that to Dorit, where she's like, the person that he was, the person that I was married to for like 26 years, that person doesn't exist anymore. So I can't really miss him. And Dorit's like, yes, I totally understand that. And that's why I feel like this is such a great core group, because despite the fact that none of them are married except Amanda, I feel like they can really understand each other and resonate in what they're all going through because they have all gone through a divorce. And there's nothing more special, I guess, when you're going through such a hard time than having people in your life who truly get it. Sometimes there's things that happen in your life that other people can't really understand because there isn't anyone else who is currently going through it in the same way. But these women are, because it's not just a divorce, it's a divorce on TV. And that's just different, right? A divorce in the limelight is different than a regular divorce. And that's why I feel like her and Rachel can really bond over that. So Dorit says that she had no idea it was the anniversary of Zion's death when she was talking to the other ladies about this. And Bose asks her, Dorit, if she kept going with her questions, because Bose wasn't there, did you keep going with your questions once you did find out that it was the anniversary of Zion's death? And Dorit says yes. And Bose says, well, why did you do that? And she's like, well, we were already mid-conversation. So Bose does call her out on it, but then Bose expresses that, you know, she had a baby that died as well, so she can really understand the position that Amanda's in. But she feels like Amanda uses her grief as a defense. She says she guards information and uses it as currency. So this is really interesting, and this is what I was alluding to earlier, where I was saying that maybe she uses this, you know, story and this horrible thing that happened to her, which I'm sure she is truly devastated over, but then uses it when she wants to bring it out to shut down other people who are trying to come at her. And that's sort of difficult, right? It's like when you're fighting with somebody and they're like, I have mental health issues. And then you're just like, ugh, so I can't continue. Or it's almost like what Austin was saying about Craig this week, where he said that when they sat down together last year in the Bahamas, he had all of these issues that he wanted to talk to Craig about, but then he felt like he couldn't really do that because Craig sort of cut him off at the ankles and shut down the whole conversation by saying, I'm an alcoholic, I'm an addict, I have a problem. And so it sort of makes you not able to say the things that you wanted to say because now you feel like you have like this wall put up against you because someone has expressed their trauma and therefore you cannot break that wall. You cannot go any further because they're traumatized. That would be awful for you to do. And so you just feel left in this purgatory where you're like, okay, I feel sad for what they've gone through, but I didn't get to express what I wanted to say. So where do we go from here? So Dorit says that she saw somewhere that Amanda was in a cult. So we saw this pop up last week on the trailer, and I was just like, wait a second, what is this about? Because I wasn't sure if it meant that Amanda was in a cult or that she led cults, because that makes more sense, right? Her money manifestation thing really does seem like a cult. So when Dorit looks into it further, she finds this article from 2015 that Amanda wrote about leaving a cult. So I'm going to go and read this article because we definitely need more information here because that's where they left us. Now, I could have gone and done this before the episode, but I want to let the episodes play out because I want to see how this sort of comes out organically. But yeah, I have a lot of questions. Were you born in the cult? Did you find yourself in a cult? And then it also makes me question her current career path because it is very cult-like. And I wonder if consciously or even subconsciously, she has taken some of the tenets of being in a cult and transferred that over to her business, which has been very successful, and maybe realized or doesn't realize, I'm not quite sure, whether these cult-like tactics actually work. So that will be really fucked up to hear about if true. Hopefully, I don't know. I really don't know what to say about this. We're obviously going to find out more information about it. I don't know. It irks me obviously a little bit, and it just adds more to the complexities that make up Amanda Francis, I guess. Now, Amanda, as I said earlier, bought Kyle and Mauricio's old house. So she invites Kyle and Mo over to see what they've done with the place. And at first, Kyle is like, oh my God, this looks so cool. I'm so excited. But then she gets really emotional because of all of the memories there. And they flash back to so many different things that happened in the house. Now, what happens that's really interesting to me is that when Kyle breaks down and she starts to cry in front of Mo, he basically has like no reaction. And she's explaining, I'm just really upset because of like all of the memories and how we let all of this slip away. And maybe if we, never gave up this house, because when they had the house, they were in a happy stage of their life. And so she kind of expresses, if we had never left this house, we wouldn't have let things slip away. We would have been happy. And he looks sort of confused, but also checked out, but also just not feeling the same way at all. It's to me like he is so far gone and so past this relationship, and she isn't, which is okay, right? It takes people different speeds, but it's sad to sort of watch them not be in that same place because he can just look at the house like a house, but she's looking at it as all of the memories of their relationship and their family that came with it. And when he tries to see her side of it, he's like, yeah, things happen and life passes you by fast. The kids grow up fast. But that's not what she was saying. What she was saying was she's so upset that the business or other things got in the way of their relationship to the point where they let the relationship slip away. And how did she let such a happy dynamic, such a happy family, such a great situation slip away? I think that still really plagues her. But at the same time, I think it's very obvious why. We've seen this a couple of times now in this episode. He's not there. He's checked out. He doesn't understand her. He's not comforting her. And when he sees her, when he's around the family, he's not really engaging with her either. He's not really communicating with her. He's not speaking with her. He's not asking her about her feelings. And that's why I don't think they're going to get back together. Listen, we all had hope. We had heard that they were like canoodling on New Year's Eve and whatever. But I think at its core, he's still not providing her what she needs in that relationship, which is like attention and to feel seen and to feel like she's very important. And she's just not getting that from him. And I guess she hasn't been getting that from him for quite some time, right? So Dorit asks Amanda at the dinner if she wants to clear the air. And Amanda's like, I do. Do you want to go somewhere else to speak about it? And Dorit's like, no, I'm good right here. And then Amanda's like, well, I'm going to need to be able to go to a dinner party without being verbally accosted. And then Dorit just kind of gives like a Lisa Rinna face, like a what? And then the episode ends there. So I'm just like, again, Amanda, girl, being verbally accosted at a dinner party is standard housewifery. So I feel like you got to get on board, in my opinion. I feel like it's pretty common at a housewife's dinner for people to blow up. If you don't feel emotionally safe to go to a dinner like that, then you need to exit the night or exit the entire situation. She definitely should not have gone to Rachel's dinner on the night of the anniversary of Zion's death. And, I'm sure she won't again now that she's experienced this. But to say that you just feel in general emotionally unsafe when you're at a dinner where someone's attacking you, that makes sense in the real world. But in the housewives world, that is literally what you have walked into. And that is what you are just going to have to accept. So, girl, get on board. Honestly, though, I do not think she's going to be back next season at all. Like, the only thing that's sort of bringing all of these women together this season, which is funny because, again, this is not about a group of friends, this is about alliances. But something that has brought this group together in terms of friendships has been their mutual hatred of Amanda Francis, right? There is nothing that bonds people more together than their mutual hatred of a singular person. So I love that everyone is able to really mesh well because they all really hate Amanda. And you know what? If this is what we needed to get here, then I am all for it. Okay, let's take a quick break and then we will come back for the Valley Persian Style. Okay, the Valley Persian Style, Season 1, Episode 5. And we pick up where we left off at Adam's birthday party. So we are all in Palm Springs. We have our big group of people. Everybody's there. It's our first cast trip. And Gigi's upset, basically, because Dennis is there, even though she invited Dennis. And that's because he's sort of just blaming Gigi for their entire 13-year history. He's coming at her for everything she's ever done wrong. So she sort of blows up and leaves. She ends up calming down and the rest of the night kind of goes okay. But when they get home, Gigi approaches Sky and Sky's like, hey, can I smoke with you? And I'm just like, wait, what? Sky wants to smoke weed? Because remember last week, she was all upset at Gigi for smoking weed at her house in front of her children at like her trunk show. And Gigi was really cool about it. She was like, yeah, you're absolutely right. I shouldn't have done that. I won't do it again. But I'm just surprised that Sky wants to smoke at all because she comes off very stoic, very uppity, very, I don't do anything that's low class. She sort of has always given me this vibe of just this very, I only do the prim and proper. So I'm just really surprised to hear her say that she wants to smoke, especially given the way that she comes off for the rest of this episode, which is the very uppity, high class, I only do things a certain way type of person. But hey, I am all here for it. Gigi tells the camera that she has always had an anger problem. So this is something that I am also currently learning about Gigi because I am not an A1 Day One Shaw's person, but I am starting to watch. And even regardless, even just seeing these few episodes that we have seen of the Valley Persian Style, it is very clear that Gigi has an anger problem. So she says that this really hit home for her back in 2016 when she tried to attack Reza. They flash back to it. I don't know what this was about at all, but I'm sure it was probably about not very much because it really doesn't take a lot to set Gigi off, is what I can tell. Now, she says that she checked herself into 2 different facilities at the time and has been to a lot of therapy, but anger still creeps in. You gotta love a self-aware queen, right? I mean, I'm very aware of the kind of person that I am. I know that I'm a bitch. I know that I'm difficult. I know that I'm defensive. And so it says something, I guess, when you know those things about yourself. And she's actually done the work to try to fix those things. Now, you can't really fix your entire personality, but I really appreciate her trying to sort of work on those things that she knows are going to be reactive and are going to upset the people around her. Because, she has a son now. She can't be going off and beating people up left and right. That would be crazy. But, I really do respect her for the fact that she is trying to do that self-work. So then we have this scene of Tannen and Sky sitting down to chat. And Tannen asks Sky if there's anything in her relationship that she feels that she could improve on. Because we've had Sky talking shit about Bombshad left, right, and center, right? She keeps calling him a failure because he didn't get, a bartender for her trunk show, even though the bartender was not required. But Tannen's trying to kind of, I guess, push her friend Sky to see if there's anything that she could improve on. Because we all know that Sky thinks that she's perfect, but nobody is perfect because, as I always say, people are people, therefore people make mistakes, right? But Sky does sort of come off as if there is nothing wrong with her in the relationship. But she does end up saying that she knows that her expectations are very high. Now, Tannen tells the camera that she's had sort of similar issues with Sky in her relationship with her where, it was Tannen's birthday and Sky was supposed to bring her gift, but then she was too tired to do so. So then Tannen had to have her gift Ubered in a car over to her house. So Tannen's own birthday gift had to be Ubered over. Again, these things are all sort of slight or small, but for Tannen, she feels like Sky doesn't care about other people the way that she wants people to care about her. Now, this is really interesting because we were introduced to Sky and Tannen as best friends, but we're already seeing a little bits of cracks in their foundation, if you want to call it that, right? We see Tannen sort of feeling as though she does not get the same level, maybe of love or respect or support in her relationship with Sky that Sky expects of her. And it sort of seems to be the same thing in her relationship with Bombshot, right? Where she has these high expectations of her husband, but then she sort of doesn't give as good as she wants to take. You know what I'm saying? So I'm curious to see where this will go because, again, these are two women that are best friends that probably didn't really want to be on TV to begin with, but were convinced by the core three. And I wonder if this show will impact their friendship. Like, listen, they're all being so open and honest and real. And for that, I am so appreciative. But I wonder if Tannen being so open about her feelings about Sky to the camera and to Reza later on will really impact them in their real life friendship. So then we have this sit down between Gigi and Dennis. And she expresses to him why she was so upset. And she's just like, you kept talking about my past and all of the things that I've done wrong. And everyone who was at that dinner, those people are my friends. So they don't hold those things against me. So I didn't like you like talking shit about me. And he just was like, they needed to hear my side of the story and they only heard your side of the story. And he's like, you think you're smarter than everyone else? And she's like, I am smarter. And then they just start like going at it, right? They're battling it out until she basically gets up to leave, which, listen, we don't love when people get up to leave scenes on housewife shows or on Bravo. But I think for Gigi, we've learned that this is how she can kind of cool herself down because if she doesn't leave these situations, I think that's when she ends up blowing up and does something crazy, like maybe causing some harm. And so, again, I appreciate that she has enough insight to know that the only way for her to be able to cool down from a situation is to leave the situation. And if that's what's safer for everybody, then I'm all here for that. So Sky ends up blaming Gigi for this because she's the one who brought him around. And like, yeah, it is sort of weird that Gigi is walking around this whole Palm Springs weekend complaining about Dennis when she's the one who brought him here. But she also didn't expect him to like hang out with all of her friends, eat all of their food, do all of their activities and stuff. And so she's just in this weird place. But it's also kind of weird to be complaining to your friends about the guy you brought. You know what I'm saying? So then we have this sit down between Tannen and Reza, and they end up talking about Sky. And this whole thing kind of confuses me. So Tannen has this serum, right? She wants to start this like brand. I forget what it is exactly, but it's some kind of serum. And when she showed it to Sky initially, Sky put a little bit on herself and then she rubbed some on her dog. Now, apparently this upset Tannen. I am not clear as to why. Is it like offensive? Did she find it offensive that Sky rubbed like a very classy, expensive serum on a dog? Is that the impression that Sky was treating Tannen's serum as like basically dog food? Is that sort of the concept? Like, I'm really absolutely not sure why this would be an issue. I love dogs. I'll put anything on a dog that would make a dog more comfortable. I don't know what it was just a serum, so I don't think it was doing anything good or bad for the dog. So I don't really get this whole thing, but they're talking about this. And Reza thinks that Bamshad is basically afraid of Sky. And so he'll never call her out when, you know, she does something wrong. But he feels like it's crazy that Sky didn't support Tannen when Tannen always supports her. And by support, he means rubbing the serum on the dog. So I don't get why rubbing serum on the dog is not being supportive to Tannen. And look, I am Team Tannen. I do think Sky is sort of like uppity and kind of not my kind of person, right? Just acts like I'm better than everybody type of person. But I just don't really get how this specific instance is an example of Sky not supporting Tannen's business. So a little confused about that. Then we have Reza and MJ talking to Natasha in the kitchen, and they're talking about the medium from last week, which, oh my God, you guys, that scene was so incredibly powerful. Like, I was bawling my eyes out. I don't even know Amir and Natasha, but like their segment and their scene with the medium was just so emotional and heartbreaking, and but also kind of heartwarming to know that Amir's deceased wife really is happy for him and happy for his life and loves Natasha and loves their children and plays with their children. Like, it was a really powerful moment. So Reza and MJ are talking to Natasha about that and sort of gauging how she felt about it. And Natasha says that she felt good that Lauren is around and that she approves of them. And then Reza asks Natasha if she thinks that Amir is still in love with Lauren, which was like a huge question. we're all in bathing suits right now. It's the middle of the day. I wonder if producers push this question because then we see a minute later Reza Jax asking Amir the exact same question. So I am sort of curious about that. But Natasha says she's not sure and she's never asked him that. And she says it's hard for her to sort of express how she feels about it. She definitely does have feelings about Lauren and this entire situation, but she just doesn't know how to express them, which I completely understand. I can't even imagine how complex it must be for her to be in love with someone who lost someone else, not because they broke up and didn't get along anymore, but lost someone from death, right? And they were married, they were in love, they were planning to have children together, they had frozen embryos. And because all of that, I think that Natasha just has such complicated feelings when it comes to it. There's got to be like a level of jealousy there, but then also she must feel so guilty for feeling that level of jealousy because that person isn't even there. She probably feels like she wants Amir to be able to talk about his feelings about Lauren, but then is also confused as to her place in that. Should she be the person that he comes to? Should he be talking to a therapist? It really is so complex. Despite that, I think they have such a beautiful family and such a good foundation and such wonderful children. And I think they're fine and they're going to make it. And this is just like a traumatic thing that they've experienced as part of their lives. But I think the way that they handle it is just so, so amazing. I mean, the fact that they're married, they already have 3 kids, and this is his first time seeing a medium in this way. And the first time he's really talked about Lauren in this way. But he has had the successful family up until now. I just really respect that, right? It really just shows that he was able to sort of put it all aside, which isn't a good thing necessarily, but he was able to put it all aside, fall in love with someone else, create this entire amazing family while still having feelings about Lauren, which again is very normal. I just wonder what he should do from here. Who am I to say? But yeah, I think therapy might even be an interesting road for him because if he feels like he has always sort of had these lingering feelings about Lauren, but he doesn't know who to express them to because it may not be appropriate for it to be Natasha, then maybe he's sort of been holding things in for a long time. But regardless, I think they're a beautiful family. I think they're amazing. I think that scene was amazing. And I think whatever they end up doing to be able to continue to work through this, I think they will continue to do well. So outside, we have the guys talking about the medium, and Amir is talking about how he feels scared to ask Natasha if she wants to be more of a part of it. And he tells the camera that she's good about keeping things inside. And I think that that was a big part of it as well, right? Because she's not expressing to him how she feels about the whole Lauren situation, especially in terms of whether she wants to be more involved in his conversations about that, like we were mentioning. And that's difficult, right? Because if she's not communicating that, then he's not really aware of it either. But he doesn't want to be the one to bring it up to her and say, hey, do you want me to talk about Lauren more to you? So that's why, again, I think therapy might be beneficial for these two. But again, they are amazing. They support each other. They are beautiful together, beautiful family, and they will get through this. Okay. So then Dennis has been hanging around, like I said, doing all the activities, doing all the things, spending the entire weekend as if he is on this show, basically. And Adam has to go and tell him, listen, you can't stay here. Right? Do you have a hotel to go to? And Dennis is like, yeah, no problem. What I didn't know was how close Adam and Gigi are. So apparently they are like besties for the resties, but Gigi is always putting Adam in these complicated situations, like with Dennis, right? Like you brought him here and now you're making me do your dirty work and try to get him to leave, right? But it seems like Adam is a really good bestie, and I really kind of want to know more about how they got to that place. So everyone ends up sitting down for dinner, and Sky is just going on and on about how much she hates living in the Valley. And Gigi's like, we're on a show called The Valley. And she's like, who cares, right? Like, I don't like the food. I don't like this place. I don't like anything about it. And for some reason, Greg decides to get really mad about this. He's like, I'm personally offended by that. And she's like, why? I'm allowed to sort of feel how I feel. I'm not like projecting it onto other people. I'm not rubbing it in anyone's face. And he's like, well, I was born and raised in the Valley. I didn't know anyone was born and raised in the Valley, but okay. He's born and raised in the Valley, and her talking shit about it basically makes him feel like she's acting like she's better than them. And I don't know if that's necessarily what she was doing in this moment, but it is very weird to kind of keep going on about how much you hate the place that you live, especially when that is the title of the show, right? And so Bamshad is staying hella quiet during this entire thing, okay? And I think Reza was right in terms of what he said earlier, right? Like, he's afraid of Sky, so he is just not going to go there, and he is not going to combat anything. And I feel like at the end of the day, Bamshad probably also agrees with everybody else, but he doesn't have the balls to say it because he knows he's going to get a whipping when he gets home. So it's just so funny. Now, there was this one moment at this dinner that felt very Amanda Francis-like. So they were all just sort of talking about like grocery shopping or something like that. And Sky goes, I know everyone at Erewhon, which is a grocery store, right? You guys, I think this is an American grocery store that we don't have here. Erewhon, I think is what it's called. I've seen the signs. I've seen it. I've definitely seen it. So it's a very expensive store. And Sky is bragging about it. Like, I know everyone that works there. I know the manager. I know everything and everyone and everything to do with Erewhon. And everyone's just like, is that a flex? Right? Like, it's a grocery store. A yacht is a flex, but, you know, a grocery store, maybe not so much, right? So at the end of the dinner, Gigi and Sky start going at it because now everybody is still combating this whole idea of the valley and whether it's a bad place to live or not. Gigi starts getting upset about it too, I guess on Greg's behalf, or she just sort of gets amped up and animated by the entire conversation, especially because Reza at one point, after Sky says that she is not snobby and she is not stuck up, Reza gets up, starts laughing and running around the table, okay? And that's when I think Gigi sort of started getting amped up as well, right? Because she's like, yeah, who do you think you are saying you're not a snub? Who do you think you are saying you don't like the valley? And that's where she sort of gets in her Gigi way and she gets amped. So they start going at it at the end with Gigi telling her to walk away. And that's where we leave it. I don't know if Gigi and Sky actually had a friendship prior to this show. I would assume that they don't. I don't think that they have anything in common. We've definitely seen Sky sort of speak about Gigi in a way where she considers Gigi like lower class, like when Gigi talks about sex, when she gets high at her house, other types of things. And it's definitely a type of way that Sky is looking at Gigi that I've noticed. So the fact that they're going at it here doesn't surprise me. But I also sort of expect that if these two are going to continue to be on a show together, they're going to be friends of other people. But I'm never going to really truly see them be friends with each other, I don't think, just because they have such different personalities. So I feel like you're going to see Sky with Tannen, you're going to see Sky with maybe Reza, maybe MJ, and then you'll see Gigi with all those same people, but like separately in a sense. I don't feel like we're ever going to get a true friendship between Gigi and Sky where the two of them are hanging out and shooting the shit, which is fine, right? I'm not arguing it. You know, everybody has different personalities and not all of those personalities, even on one show, will mesh together quite well. I just don't think Gigi is Sky's cup of tea and vice versa. Okay, you guys, that is the end of the episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. Until next time, you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and YouTube at The Bravo Investigator. And you can also join the Patreon. It's patreon.com/The Bravo Investigator Podcast. And I love you, BBs. I will see you next time. Thank you for listening to The Bravo Investigator Podcast. For more content, head over to patreon.com/The Bravo Investigator Podcast. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at The Bravo Investigator. If you enjoyed the show, leave a 5-star review. Love you, BBs. See you next time.